Hello, it is your resident keeper Faye here. I'm just popping in at the beginning to tell you that this episode is going to be a little bit different. So if you listened to our last episode and the little silly clip at the end, I made a funny little joke about how Craig, our recording bot, was witnessing the death of my computer. And, turns out that was more ominous foreshadowing than a silly little joke, as it was a few weeks later that the drive on my computer offed itself. So we unfortunately have lost some footage, some audio, so this is going to be a little narrative episode. It'll be a good time, I promise. It'll be fun. Just giving you a heads up that this is not our regular session, but it will be a good time, and I hope that you enjoy. We begin again in Ananiel's apartment. Levi's headache hasn't faded, and he is remaining in a bit of pain, trying to relax and recover. Ananiel advises that he take a nap, and after setting up the couch to house the impromptu guest, that's exactly what he does. Ananiel decides to take advantage of the quiet time to dig into a bit of research on the events of the past few days. In his scouring, he finds a few articles on the gas leak that occurred in the Ferrough College broadcast station, along with discussion about the old building's structural issues. The reports say that one student was left injured along with one faculty member, but does not specify their status or their expected recovery time. One student blog reports that the energy on campus before the gas leak was off, reporting students and faculty acting strange, speculating that perhaps it was a more widespread leak than initially thought.
Shark, what do you think the point was?
It seems like whatever that creature was, it wasn't very intelligent. I think it was most likely the servant for something else, from wherever it came from. It was doing a task. Most of these planes have a hierarchy of sorts. It was probably doing it for whatever's at the top, whoever that may be.
When Levi wakes from his nap and the headache is still present, if not worse, they begin to investigate. It doesn't take long to discover the small runes etched around every entrance to his apartment, all glowing a faint blue.
Shark, what is this?
Okay, they're protection runes. They're meant to keep anything from another plane out of this space. I didn't think that they would affect Leviathan, but apparently his connection to the divine is more deeply rooted than I thought.
You made these?
Yes. I've been carving them while you're asleep.
With a sigh, Ananiel crouches down and takes out a small knife, reaching out to begin to deface the runes and break the spell. With his hand halfway outstretched, he is suddenly no longer in control of it, as it stops moving entirely. Shark holding it still.
Wait, Ananiel. Are you sure that you want to do this? We're safe here, with these in place.
Yes, Shark. They're my team. My friends. They should be able to be here.
What if you don't break them? We can just edit them.
You can change them so Levi can be here?
Probably.
Why? Why would you keep this a secret if it's just to protect Ananiel?
It's complicated, Leviathan. Let's just finish this.
With some reluctance, Shark does show them the proper way to edit the runes, to add an exemption for things of the Divine's realm, through Ananiel's hand. With a bit of teamwork and putting their heads together, they get something that works. It's a tedious process, as she has practically covered every windowsill and doorway in the home, but they get through it eventually.
Is this why I've been sleepwalking so much lately?
Maybe? Okay, yes, it is.
Shark isn't happy about the changes, but she does as Ananiel asks, as per usual. Once they're finished with all of the runes, sure enough, Levi's headache is gone, and they all lapse into a somewhat uncomfortable quiet. Shark's secretive nature and Ananiel's ready acceptance of her taking control of his body is making Levi suspicious of her. Eventually, as they make their way through making dinner for the both of them, the tension begins to ease. They spend time bonding and discussing things that have been going on, and end up having a good time, despite it all. Alex spent his day also participating in the investigation with Ananiel, only his investigation happened on the actual campus, seeing if anyone had noticed the odd going-ons. Over the past 2 weeks, things had become more disorganized as time went on, as it seemed people were less attentive, less active, and paying less attention. But universally, everyone agreed that nothing was wrong or out of the ordinary. It seems that the effect of the broadcast had indeed spread farther than they had realized. The rest of his evening was largely unremarkable, staying up until his usual very late, or perhaps early morning hour, before finally getting rest. Once again, he meets with the historian in the astral dream plane. He takes time to update him on what went down at the broadcast station and the general happenings around the town, both to keep him in the loop and also to see if they have any insight into who or what was doing this, and why. I had noticed that some people's dreams had been stranger than usual. Not necessarily weird in nature, but more hazy than they usually are.
I mean, have you ever dealt with an eldritch anything that's kind of trying to coerce people or change reality?
My memories are vague, but I think so. Many memories from my life are difficult to recall. It was long, long ago, nothing recent, but yes, I think I have. With Alex's permission, the historian brings the memory of the portal that they encountered into the space around them. It takes a few moments of careful study, and he seems perturbed by what he finds. Yes, it is as I feared. This portal was not created on your side.
So, you're saying that nobody summoned this?
Not on this side, at least. There would be evidence of it. A ritual, runes, a circle of power, something. No one I know of can just open a portal without leaving a physical mark. It's a requirement for opening one on your side.
Yeah, I know.
Has anything strange been happening in the environment?
I mean, ever since those vampire people did that freaky ritual, something's been wrong in town. Sharp didn't recognize it. If nobody opened it from this side, does that mean...
Something from the other side was reaching through. Yes.
But not necessarily this tentacle creature?
I doubt it. It doesn't seem intelligent enough to be capable of magic.
No, I don't think it is. It was brainwashing people and controlling them, but it was just puppeting. There wasn't a goal.
That's very concerning.
It did a number on the TA. Fully brainwashed, going on about something holy coming through the door, some sort of god. Full cuckoo bananas.
Most likely the first to interact with it.
Damn unlucky guy if he didn't open it. Wrong place at the wrong time. This must have been going on for at least a week. Jesus, I worked there!
It seems whatever was doing this was trying not to be noticed. The historian pauses for a moment, seeming lost in thought. Although their eyes can't be seen, he seems to be staring into the middle distance, absent-mindedly watching the bubbles of slumbering people's dreams. Suddenly, he focuses back in on Alex. This may seem unconnected, but I fear that it isn't. May I tell you a story of sorts?
Yeah, of course.
As the historian begins to weave his tale, the scenery around them changes from the empty black void dotted with semicircular bubbles containing dreams, weaving itself into a blurry, abstract outdoor scene. Long grass blows in a gentle wind, backed by a gray, cloud-covered sky. A small ramshackle village constructs itself around them, torches flickering a warm light across the cloth walls of the tents, all structured around the large tent at the center of the setup. In the entrance of the centermost tent stands a blurry figure. Details of their face are obscured, but they are draped in blue robes. I've told you before that I used to be a person. I was someone once. In my time alive, I was an oracle of sorts. That is the best word I can use to describe it, at least. What I didn't know at the time was that the visions I received, well, they came from a creature. At some point, the time escapes me, I think it was intentionally so. I became connected, entangled with this creature, much like Leviathan is with the divine. But it was not as amicable. My visions were much like the one that we saw last, full of chaos and confusion, never a full picture. They were difficult to interpret. I learned over time that she, this creature, was wrathful in a way. Most of the visions I received weren't real. They weren't truly premonitions, simply images that she wanted me to see and believe were to come to pass. I was being manipulated. Unfortunately, I didn't learn this until after it had wrought destruction upon my community. But when I did realize, I attempted to sever our bond. The scene around them shifts. They are still outdoors, but the sky is dark now. The blurry, blue-robed figure kneels in front of a roaring campfire with torches lit in a circle around it. They are no longer in the village, but somewhere distant. The lights can be seen from it, at the bottom of the hill they stand at the top of. I don't know if I did the ritual wrong, or if it simply isn't something that is possible for a person to do. But in the process of severing that connection, I accidentally tore open my mind, exposing myself fully to the power of the entity, and, well, those of the material plane are simply not built to sustain that level of exposure to that type and magnitude of power. The next thing that I know, I was here. I don't know how much time passed between those two moments, but I know it took me some time before I became what I am now. A very long time. But my point, I fear that this creature that did this, whoever is opening this portal, is one and the same with the entity that I was bound to. I cannot be sure if this is true, but I would not put it past her to attempt something like this. Her main goal was always to wreak havoc in this world. It is not surprising to me if her ambitions have grown since I knew her.
Do you know her name?
I never learned it. She never wanted me to.
You know, if you have any ideas about where you were, who you might have been, I could look into it, try to figure out some more. May as well put the PhD to use, you know?
I don't know much about today's nomenclature, but I believe we were around the Ireland area. Maybe European, I think. We were nomadic, so we didn't stay in one area for long.
Celtic is my best guess, then. Were you a druid?
It is possible. I don't know that we use the same type of language that you do now. About these types of things, at least.
I'll do some digging, see what I can figure out. Prophetic visions, manipulation, goddesses. I'll see what I can come up with.
I will also keep an eye out, as much as I can, for further activity.
Thanks. Oh, and, sorry I said fuck you so many times. It's pretty rude.
It is forgiven, Dr. Palmer.
Still sorry. Kind of a dick move.
The historian looks for a moment as though he is going to reply, but pauses as there's a flash of light in this pitch-black space, golden and blinding. With a snap and another flash, the historian is gone. There's a moment of silence, and then Alex is waking up in a cold sweat.
Shit, fuck, what the hell, fuck.
Alex spends the next day doing research on Celtic mythology in between classes, trying to find any information about who the historian was, or who their god was. He reaches out to other professors in his department, and they give him what information they have. There is documentation of spiritual beliefs that contain a few names, but nothing in the mythology that fits exactly right. He's able to narrow it down to a few candidates at least. There are legends of individuals gifted by the gods, religious figures and heroes, a few options again, but nothing that is explicitly evil, like the historian described. The closest that he lands on is a deity of chaos, which aligns with the goals of the entity that was described, sowing chaos and pain. It wanted disaster. On the other side of town, Leviathan and Ananil are having, more or less, a normal day. Levi is still tired and is actually taking time to rest while discussing the monster and helping Ananil draft up the notes for his blog post about it. On Saturday, they meet at Molly's as usual. The only difference is that Hugo is missing, and despite the invite, Micah isn't there. Not yet. Mabel says that Hugo isn't feeling well, but other than that, things are normal. That night, Alex is able to contact the historian again. I apologize for my abrupt exit the other night.
I was gonna ask about that. You okay?
Yes, I think so. The Divine wanted to speak with me. I didn't know that he could do that.
Oh, okay, are you, good?
Yes, he was asking about the things going on between planes. There are mergers happening that shouldn't be possible, that shouldn't be happening. I believe he's trying to find more information, but I don't have any. I do fear that this is the same entity behind these goings-on, if the Divine is this concerned about it.
Huh, well, at least you aren't dead. That's a bonus.
I admit I would be interested if that were even possible, to be honest.
Yeah, touche. I don't know, man. Whenever I've interacted with an entity stronger than a werewolf, like anything mentally stronger than a baseline human, it's tried to, liquefy my brains with its incomprehensible goon language. So this is really better up, you know?
Fair. I am glad that our interactions have been a positive for you. I would never intentionally try to liquefy your brain, if that means anything.
And I appreciate that about you. Oh, by the way, I did some digging into our creepy god discussion.
Oh? Did you find anything? It's around 4 a.m. when we see the inside of the Palmer's bedroom. We focus on the bedside table where Alex's phone sits, plugged into the charger next to a glass of water. A soft ding breaks the silence of the early morning, and the screen brightens the room ever so slightly with an email notification. The screen glitches for a moment, the notification shuddering. The sender's name can't be read, but the subject line reads, Ferrough Activity Inquiry, and the text preview says, Care to explain why there's seismic activity in Iowa, Palmer? The walls of the room shudder slightly, panes of glass trembling in the windows. Nothing strong, nothing falling off shelves or walls, just enough to be noticeable by the handful of third-shift workers in the local factories. It's over almost as soon as it starts. As everything falls back into quiet stillness, the phone screen glitches again before flashing white and ultimately going black. When it powers back on, the notification doesn't return. Hello everyone, I am back again in the middle to interrupt our admittedly shorter narrative episode. Thank you again for bearing with us during our technical issues. But I am actually here because we have another promo swap today. This one is with the folks over at Portal QUANDRY. They are a super cool group, very funny, and now entering their 3rd season. I may only be listening to their 1st season still, but it is all a lot of fun. So take a listen to their promo.
You want to join the organization? Why should I? Why should I let you? There are 4 figures standing in a little room in a basement of a convenience store.
Hello, I am Daryl Copper. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Daryl. I'm Andre.
Indigo.
And I believe I caught your name, Pooh. Who?
Excuse me, it's definitely not Pooh. I prefer Pookie.
6 months ago, the world changed, and people changed with it. A city suddenly appeared from thin air in the heart of Melbourne, and magic was unleashed. Most humans aren't, well, human anymore.
Indigo, please do wait, I'm on my way. And you hear the little pitter-patter of claws on the ceiling.
Look at this photograph.
Every time it makes me laugh.
I got a 1, so which makes it a 0.
Yeah, you click that one. No, that one. No, Daryl, that one. There you go.
Oh.
I need you to infiltrate a volatile community of magic users whose aim appears to be converting an entire world unfit for magic with their practices. While they have already introduced magic to the planet, we are working with a field team to remove them before they grow in power to a point where their practices could take root in the native culture. They call themselves the Summer Court. Portal QUANDRY Season 3, Ictrius, has new episodes tri-weekly on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or really wherever. You'll find us. We'll be there. Bye-bye now.
As usual, please go show them some love and enjoy the rest of our episode. Things are about to be so incredibly normal, don't even worry about it. Everything is fine. I will see you again in approximately 2 weeks, where things continue to just be so normal, guys. Don't even worry about it. As the sun rises, there are a few things that we know to be true. The small town of Ferrough only houses close to 9,000 permanent residents, but it's almost never quiet. The old Iowa town, sitting on the bank of the Mississippi River, thrives in the hustle and bustle of the tourism that its magnificently aged architecture and rich history draws. The centerpiece of the town is the grandeur of the old church that was one of the first buildings to be erected at the founding of the town, second only to the community center, now town hall. Currently, as fat snowflakes drift down to melt on the concrete, the town is lacking in tourism as the cold sets in earnest, but it is no less lively as the community gets prepared for the holiday season. With 3 days left until Thanksgiving, lights and decor are fully up around the town, fairy lights assisting weathered light posts in safely ferrying night travelers back home, and wreaths and pumpkins lining almost every doorway. As the holiday spirit slowly but surely seeps its way into the bloodstream of the town, infecting its residents, there is one thing that they can all agree on. Ferrough, Iowa is completely and utterly normal. And it's Monday. These things are true. Leviathan Bell wakes around 7 a.m., getting himself ready for the day as quietly as he can so as not to disturb Ananil, who tends to sleep in late. With his required observation period now over and things dealt with at Anna's apartment, he heads back to the church on foot. Arriving, he is slightly surprised to already hear the clinking of kibble in metal bowls he uses to feed the stray cats around the side of the church. Wandering around the corner, he finds a woman with short brown hair and glasses, dressed in the church's garb. For a moment, he hesitates. And then, as she pauses to look up at him, giving him a bright smile, the thought occurs to him that, of course, it's Christina Matthews, his fellow clergy member. Of course she's here and awake already. This is normal. He has always known her for the years that she's worked at this church with him. They've grown to be close friends. Usually they feed the cats together in the morning, but the walk from Ann and Neil's place made it late. Good morning, Leviathan. I hope you had a good time with your friend?
Yes. Yes, of course, it was good.
Good to hear. And how is Ann and Neil doing?
He's doing well. We had a lovely dinner.
That's great, Levi. I'm glad that you have him as a friend. Andy's still asleep at home, but as usual. But I'm sure he'll be awake soon to help with things. Levi finishes helping her feed the hungry strays, his favorite, Beelzebub, rubbing against his shins in greeting, and then heads inside the church, tucking himself away in his favorite out-of-the-way alcove, and kneels to pray.
Oh, great divine, please protect those of us who are less fortunate. Please guide them to you, to seek help through you, and please bless them and others with your grace, your security, and your generosity.
All is quiet as he finishes his prayer. The air is still in the church as he feels the familiar comfort of connecting with his God, knowing that his faith is strong and believing that he is heard. The silence is broken by the sound of a door opening as Andy enters the church. As usual, not a morning person and still slightly asleep. Standing and heading to the entrance to greet him, he is met with the familiar freckled face of Andy, framed by shaggy blonde hair, dressed in his usual church robes. Leviathan! Awake early as usual, I see.
Of course, I would never be late for my duties.
Well, I'm ready now. All set to start planning our sermon?
Absolutely.
Ananiel wakes to his alarm going off around 9:30 to find that Levi has already headed back to the church. His morning is quiet and slow, as they usually are, getting himself ready to head to another day at work. As he's getting his shoes and coat on at the door, his eyes linger on the small glass figurine of a shark that sits on his side table, watching over the bowl he uses to store his keys and glasses. He gets the nagging feeling that it's watching him this morning, but shakes the tugging feeling at the back of his mind as he grabs the keys to his motorcycle and heads out the door. Stopping for coffee at Molly's magnificent coffee shop on the way to work, he greets her as she prepares his usual order. He's a regular at the store, and also at the book club meetings on the weekends, so they become somewhat of friends. The rest of his day is more or less normal. It's slow at the library. Most of the students who come in for research or to study are gone for the holidays already, so it's a lot of backorder archiving and organization. For the whole day, he can't quite shake the feeling that something is missing, but he can never put his finger on what. He keeps catching himself speaking into empty rooms, and an uncomfortable feeling forms in his throat every time there isn't a response. There shouldn't be a response, of course. He's just on edge. Alex wakes to the sun shining on his face. His and Nathan's alarms didn't go off. The sun is almost unusually bright for the normally dreary November season, but it's nice on his skin, so he doesn't mind. The clock on his phone reads 12 already, and the Palmers decide to take a personal day, taking advantage of the kids still being asleep to enjoy each other's company. When they finally pull themselves out of bed to start the day and wake the kids, they have a nice morning. Pancakes for lunch and a trip to the park with the kids, enjoying the crisp fall air. He doesn't notice anything off until his phone buzzes with an email notification. Clearly, there's something wrong with the app since the notification is glitching and he can't see any text on it. No sender, no title, no body of the email, just a blank notification with the email symbol next to it. For a brief moment, a familiar name tugs at the back of his mind. Something is telling him that this is urgent, a question about the town. As he opens the email itself, he finds that also glitching, text flickering in and out. He isn't able to make out much. There's a question about the town. Whoever this is has been trying to get a hold of him. And then the screen goes black. He hesitates for a moment before slipping the phone back into his pocket. The rest of the day passes without issue for our hunters. Alex has a lovely day with his family, getting dinner at a small family-owned diner in town. Ananiel's slow day at work leaves him a bit drained, but it's more or less average for him. Levi gets work done at the church early with Andy's help and spends time with him and Christina, catching up and enjoying the companionship of his longtime friends. By the time Ananiel gets into his apartment, the drained feeling has turned into a weary exhaustion. The day was slow, and that meant it felt long, each minute dragging into an eternity, and all the while everything continued to feel off, like something was missing. Everything was a bit too quiet, a bit too big, and a bit too lonely, and it didn't make sense to him. It was as he was tossing his keys into the bowl on the side table with the little blue figurine that it clicked. Shark should be here. Shark is supposed to be here with him. Somehow, some way, he had forgotten about her existence in his life in its entirety. Reaching out to Shark feels natural, a mental stretch to find her, connect with her as he is rushing to his bedroom where the little glass jar with her eyes sits on his bedside table. As he reaches for it, finally touches the cold glass, they connect. And it only takes a moment as his mind is flooded with memories, somehow both foreign and comfortingly familiar to him. And he can finally feel her again. Her presence, the flurry of her emotions mixing with his, and the electric tingle of magic surging through him again. His next thought goes to his friends as he reaches for the phone to message the group chat.
Something is wrong. Meet at Molly's. Now.
Ananil is the first to arrive at the coffee shop. Having barely followed local traffic laws on his way here on the motorcycle, he's fidgety and anxious, constantly fidgeting with the glass bottle now securely around his neck. He's startled as Levi puts a hand on his shoulder as he arrives with Alex only slightly behind him.
Ananil, we got your message. Is everything all right?
Yeah, it sounded like something happened. What's up?
Have you guys noticed anything weird going on today?
No, nothing that I've noticed.
Same here. Everything's been normal.
Nothing weird has been going on. Nothing has been missing?
Anna, what's this about?
Ananil, you're starting to worry me. This isn't normal for you.
The strangest thing for Ananil is the lack of concern in his friend's eyes. An emergency text for them should be a red flag for panic. They should be scared. They should be concerned. They should be asking what kind of monster he saw to send that sort of text. But they're not. It's a Hail Mary of a plan as Ananil attempts to use Shark to make them see, to bring them back to him. It's an effort as he attempts to push Shark's presence into Levi, and it works to a point. He sees her move from him, passing through Levi, pausing half around him, blue shining mist swirling around him. Levi should see this. This should do something. Levi shivers for a moment as he feels a presence around him. A shudder down his spine as he feels something almost reaching out to contact him, and it's fear that spikes his heart rate.
You don't remember, do you?
I think I need to go.
Alex has been quiet. Anna's questions are getting to him. Something has been off. Not anything tangible, but that message that he half received, and even the coffee in his hand is throwing him off. He hates coffee, hates the taste of it, the smell of it, and yet constantly he has a cup in his hands, and he can't understand why. He's pushing, pressing himself to understand. What is he doing here? Who even is he? He's getting flashes, moments of memory, of clarity, as Levi's beginning to back away from them and towards the door.
Levi, your stomach. How's your stomach?
He's desperate to try and find anything to get his friends back, and the question does make Levi pause. Less the question and more the familiarity of the nickname. Nobody calls him Levi. It's always Leviathan or Father Bell. For them to call him Levi means something. That they're more than just friends who go to a book club together. But that's all they are, right?
Levi, you have a knife. A dagger. I've watched you use it before. You always carry it with you because it heals you.
Almost unconsciously, Levi's hand moves to his side and finds nothing. His mind is reeling as memories are flashing through it. They feel dreamlike, half-formed. Memories of tentacles, black blood, and bile. A flash of pain as a knife sinks into his leg before the warm relief of being healed from something. He can't quite grasp the memories fully.
Do you remember, Levi?
I don't know what I remember. I need to go. I need to discuss this with Christina and Andy. They'll know what to do.
No, you shouldn't talk to them, Levi. I don't remember them.
Just be safe, Levi.
The memories are still clinging to Levi as he hurries out the door, their words bringing him a level of anxiety that's hard to deal with. The walk home is long and hurried as he's almost fighting back tears. As the bell above the door rings, marking Levi's departure, a thought occurs to Ananil that someone else should be here. Someone he hasn't seen in a few days now.
Mabel? Where's Hugo?
Who's Hugo? I don't think I know who you're talking about. Even though she says it with a smile, tears are welling up in Mabel's eyes.
Your sibling? Your twin? Hugo?
I don't know what you mean, Anna. I don't have any siblings. God, I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Yes, Mabel. You do. You have a twin and their name is Hugo. They work here with you. Do you really not remember them?
I'm sorry. I think I need to step out for a moment. I'm sorry. She's shaking as she rushes towards the back room, tears streaming down her face as she starts to sob, but can't quite grasp why their questions are so upsetting to her. She runs into Molly coming out of the back room, who pauses to check on her before approaching. What did you guys...
Please tell me you remember Hugo. Yay big, works here, looks almost exactly like Mabel, almost like they're twins or something.
Nobody named Hugo has ever worked here, Alex. It's always just been me, Mabel, and Randy. Is that what has her so upset?
Fucking shit fuck. Oh, okay.
We should call it a night, Alex. Sorry, Molly. Tell Mabel we're sorry. Have a good night.
Ananiel has a hand on Alex's arm, pulling him towards the door as he's saying his apologies. Something is very, very wrong in Ferrough. Anna escorts Alex back into Nathan's care. Making sure he gets home safe is somehow more muscle memory than any concrete knowledge of where Alex lives or what he should be doing in this situation, even as Alex is slowly spiraling into a panic. After Ananiel leaves, Alex attempts to get some sleep. Keyword being attempt. But the memories are keeping him awake. The memories are spinning in his mind, overlapping and competing to be heard, to be legitimized. There are memories of a happy, if not stressful, college career interrupted and overlaid by scenes of monsters and horrors that he can barely comprehend. There are memories of his beginnings as a professor that compete with sterile hallways and an agency named Delta Green. A triangular logo is burning itself into the back of his eyelids when he realizes that he fell asleep at some point by waking up around 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, now more sure of himself and his mind.
Nathan, Nate, hey, sexy. Where's my satchel? Have you seen it?
Check your office, babe. It's always somewhere in there. Nathan isn't even awake as he answers, so Alex doesn't worry about waking him as he slips out of bed to find his bag. And sure enough, it is in his office, and he gets to work. He manages to find the blank email from Aaron, finally having a name more concrete in his memory. It's still hard to read, still half static and cutting in and out of his vision, but it is a question about the town. There's seismic activity, and someone's checking on them, watching them. He sends a quick response.
There seem to be some memory alterations going on in town.
Alex now knows that these memories in his head are fake. He didn't have a happy college career. He wasn't a carefree student, ever. He dealt with monsters and horrors beyond comprehension for almost longer than he can remember now, and for a solid 2 days, he didn't remember that. The memories he had were not his reality. He knows that. But now, looking around the room, he's seeing all the signs of his monster hunting history that he had passed over before. The ritual daggers and crusty spell books, the protections etched into the doorway of his office, and the scars. Reality hasn't changed, but everyone's perception of it has.
Why? Who would do this?
He knows that this isn't random. Whatever did this had to expend a tremendous amount of energy to begin this spell, let alone maintain it. To brainwash an entire town is almost incomprehensible. He's almost positive that the memory alteration isn't the full scope of the plan. It has to be some sort of cover, a distraction for whatever's the real goal of the entity is. He just has to figure out what exactly it wants. After getting home, Ananiel takes some time to take notes on what happened today, documenting every detail that he can remember. The other notes in his notebook are almost blurry as he flits through the pages, but each one jogs his memory a little more.
Shark, do you remember anything? Anything before I reached out?
It's kind of hard to explain. I was here. I could see and hear you and be with you throughout the day, but it was like there was a wall between us. You couldn't hear me, couldn't see me, and I couldn't reach you either. Like I was in a bubble made specifically to keep me from you. I don't know what happened to cause it, but someone doesn't want me to be able to interact with you.
How would something, do something like this?
If it's the same thing that's trying to get into this world through whatever took mine, it could be something trying to stop us. It's magical, and very powerful at that, so somewhere, there's a spell being done. It has to be. Our wards are still in place, so it hasn't gotten far enough to alter physical things here.
Is this something to do with the vines we cut off?
It's highly possible, Ananiel. Whatever it is seems determined to stop us.
Thank you. Thank you, Shark.
When Levi gets back to the church, he's still fairly rattled and slips quietly into his favorite alcove to pray. Once again, he feels the familiar comfort that always comes with prayer and lets it wash over him as he finally begins to calm himself, breathing becoming a bit more even and shaking a little bit less. He decides not to consult Andy and Christina that night, instead retiring to bed, opting not to think about his friends and their strange behaviors for tonight. When he wakes, it's to a splitting headache that simply doesn't seem to go away, no matter how many ibuprofen he takes and how much water he drinks. Andy and Christina notice and urge him to take the day off, maybe try to sleep it off and wake up feeling better. Begrudgingly, he obliges and heads back to bed. With his alarms being functional this morning, Alex actually has to go to work and tries to start the morning as normally as he can, given the circumstances and how little sleep he got last night. He makes sure to warn Nathan that something isn't right, but he also reassures him that he's going to fix it. And Nathan insists that everything is fine. Throughout the day, Ananiel and Alex stay in contact, relaying the information that they both learned overnight and making sure that they're on the same page about what's going on. On his end, Anna also tries to have a normal day. Work feels a lot better now that he has Shark with him again, although it is slow, like before. He gets more strange looks than he used to when he's caught quietly muttering to Shark in the quiet of the archives. They seem to notice his strangeness more than they used to. It's about lunchtime when there's a knock on his door, and sticking her head through his doorway is Avery, one of his best friends, all the way here from England.
Hey there, stranger. Long time no see. Avery? Did you forget already? I just texted you. I swear, you'd forget your head if it weren't attached to your shoulders.
As Ananiel pulls out his phone to check his texts, there's a shuddering glitch on the screen before the messages open. And sure enough, their text history goes back a week, confirming that she'll be in town and agreeing to visit to catch up.
Admittedly, I did think it'd be fun to surprise you a bit early. Oh, you shouldn't have. I can leave if it's a bad time? No, it's fine. Let me show you around.
They take some time to catch up as Anna shows her around the archives where he works. She tells him about her travels, and he takes a small risk, and when they make it back to his office, he tells her about the monster hunting he's been up to. She has always been his confidant and almost co-conspirator when it comes to the cryptozoology side of things.
Well, that's certainly creative, Ananiel. Creative. Right.
With that comment, he knows for a fact that this isn't Avery. At least not his Avery. She's not real. But she's here now, and his lunch break is almost over. Cutting their visit a bit short, they exchange their goodbyes, and Avery suggests that they get dinner. He gives a non-committal answer, and after she leaves, he tries to get back to work and finish out his day as normally and productively as he can.
Terrible fake Avery. Creative. Huh.
Bedroom scene. I like that. Take 2.